In the time it takes to finish one stiff drink, me and my special guest, Tony Pasuniak, are going to talk about what gives him the right to be a hiker. We're going to swap some stories about how you got blisters on your feet. And we're going to find out if one stiff drink makes you better at angle of trajectory. So stay tuned to this episode of The Boondock Perspective,
where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree Maine evening, and you're listening to The Boondock Perspective, your real Northern Maine backwoods podcast. Listen in each week as we discuss, debate, swap some stories, and imbibe. You might just learn something each week. This is my special guest, Tony Pasuniak.
Hello.
You want to give us a little bit of background about yourself, why you're here? You're here for a very specific reason, so you don't have to target that reason in your background of yourself, but it might be nice to include.
Sure. I am a registered nurse, philosopher, Army veteran of 3 tours, 2 to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan, and I recently completed a through hike of the Appalachian Trail with Warrior Expeditions. They are a nonprofit organization that outfits veterans and sends them on their way with a through hike and a monthly stipend. So, because of them, I was able to do it, and it was a life-changing, altering experience.
Life-changing, life-altering experience.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be able to word that any differently because it sounds like hell, but I'm also like 150 pounds heavier than you, so.
It's extremely hellish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it was torture. We used to hike quite a bit as kids. My parents liked hiking, and the older they got, the more they got into it because my older brother, who's 13 years older than I am, is an avid hiker. So we started going a lot more, and then we got in high school, and I was like, I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't live under your roof. I'm not going hiking anymore. So I can't imagine how long did it take you?
Took me 1 day under 5 months.
1 day under 5. You did it with a 4 at the beginning of your date, like 4 months. Oh, no, 5. Okay, so it's 5 months and 30 days.
4 months and 30 days or whatever.
Yeah, so with the 4 in that first category.
So it was from March 15th to August 14th. So I probably should have counted up the days. I did not. So, but it took basically 5 months to do the thing.
Jeez. And that's not including your flight time. That's the day your foot stepped onto the trail.
Yep, and that includes 0 days. I think I had 25 0 days. So what? 20, yeah.
Wow.
So 25 of those days I was not hiking.
So you hiked it in 4 months. If you got rid of the zeros.
If you get rid of the zeros, but it...
Yeah, I mean, I'd include the zeros, but that's just very interesting that you could do it in 4 months as a first-timer. I know there are people that have, with whatever the record is, isn't it do you know the record?
It's really so hard. It's so hard to tell what is trail gossip and what isn't. But you have different people that do it with a pack, without a pack, and a support team that do it. And I heard something, and I'm gonna get the number wrong, but did it in something crazy like 15 days without a support team. Or with a support team, and it just something mind-blowingly insane. Now, I know I got the number right. It should be easy to fact check, but it's an insanely small amount of time.
How many miles is that?
Just under 2,200.
2,200 miles in 15 days. How do you? I don't think I could do that in a car.
2,190.9, I think, is what it is. So yeah, but you're gonna hike way more than that because that doesn't include walking into town, walking around town, with or without your pack and stuff. So you're gonna do at least. I just rounded up to 2,200, pretty much.
Dang. Well, I look forward to the rest of this podcast. I had mad props, and I was very impressed with how fast you did it.
You should be impressed. It's fucking hard as shit.
Knowing even like every time somebody tells me about the Appalachian Trail, it just gets harder and harder, and it's like respect level goes up exponentially in my head. So I look forward to talking about it.
I was going comedic and you were going serious, and I screwed that up. I'm sorry.
Well, dude, I'm no one. You can jump around all you want, but at the end of the day, that's a hell of a feat, man. Like, props to you. I don't know if I ever shook your hand about it, but it was nice having you back.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
We'll continue the conversation on the Appalachian Trail in a minute. But first, we need to figure out if one stiff drink of alcohol makes you better at angle of trajectory. I was thinking about how to do this when I was writing this little card, and I think the best way to do it is there's a wall behind you, and I have this beer pong cup. My goal, actually, I won't use that. I'll use my my mug because it's got drink in it. So my goal is to bounce it off the wall into that cup, right? Angle of trajectory, right?
I'm gonna give you.
So that's
a 2% chance of getting this.
A 2% chance of getting it.
2%.
Okay. So we have to keep a reference of how close I get, because we're going to do it at the end of the podcast. We're going to do it again.
Understood.
And see if I got closer.
All right. So it's like artillery. You're just reining it in.
It's a one goer too. If I miss the wall and I just blow it into the kitchen or in my fish tank, I'm going to be pretty upset.
I'm paying attention.
But there's nowhere to go but up. All right. You ready?
Yep. Whoa, that was pretty good. That was right here is where it struck.
2 inches away.
Yeah.
4 maybe from the cup.
Yep. I'd give that about 4 inches.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Okay.
Way better than I thought.
Way better than I thought. All right.
Look out, beer pong world.
Want my drink back. I'm kind of happy it didn't land in the cup, though, because then it would have just splashed everywhere and would have been low. All right. So the Appalachian Trail. What the hell made you decide to do it?
You know, holy crap. You know, like, I share what you said about, like, why would anyone want to do that? I'm done hiking. I don't have to hike. Why would I ever want to do this? Like, I'm really into things like Tough Mudder and Spartan Race and that sort of thing. And that got kind of old, and I was like, what is the hardest, most challenging thing that I can think of? And I thought, through hike of the Appalachian Trail, I think it'd be pretty challenging. I mean, so it was like, what's the biggest challenge that I can get? So that was pretty much it. And it's really that easy. I wish it.
You just wanted a challenge?
I just wanted a challenge. But I didn't know at all what I was getting myself into. Like, I knew it would be challenging. I didn't know that I was going to be challenged at every single emotional, spiritual, physical, metaphysical level. I had no idea what I was really asking or attempting to do. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Period. Fuck combat. Like, this was the hardest thing I ever did. Period.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. You know, so I mean, if I would have known what I would have done it, I would have, I would have, But I knew there would be a lot of suffering in it. I just didn't know what type it would be. So.
Wow. Harder than combat,
yeah.
What were the other challenges you were considering when you were making the list? What were the other options? Because I mean, there's not a lot of things harder than the Appalachian Trail. I mean, there definitely are, but where else were you ready to do? Or what else were you considering?
Believe it or not, that popped into my mind as the first thing. And then it became, I'm one of these dudes where it's like, I get the idea, and I'm like, we're off and running. And it was as soon as it popped up, I didn't consider anything else. I said, Appalachian Trail, I'm going to through hike the Appalachian Trail. And then we can get into it later with Warrior Expeditions, how that came up. But then that opportunity came up with Sean Gobin, who, by the way, when he got out of the Marine Corps, this guy's my hero. He did it in 4.5 months. He took 2 0 days. So
why don't you go ahead and explain the entire thing and include Sean in it, because I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about this.
Of course. That's the curse of knowledge. I know it, but I can't assume that you know it, but I don't know what you don't know. Anyways, so went into Warrior Expeditions. I decided to do the AT at some point, and I was compiling the gear and trying to see what it would cost. And then Casey, my awesome wife, said,
right, awesome. She let you leave for 5 months.
She let me leave for 5 months. She minded the house, the dogs, and made all the money and did everything. She's amazing. She's a superwoman. I love you. She said, have you heard of Warrior Expeditions? It was an NPR piece on it. And so, nonprofit, veteran owned and operated. They outfit veterans from, sponsors. You wear their gear, and they send you off and give you a stipend and all this. So I said, yeah, I'll apply. And that was in, I think, January. And I think they took 8 months or something to get back to me. And it was like an interview. It was like Skype interview. First, it was a personality test, and it was a Skype interview with Sean directly. Sean is the founder and CEO of Warrior Expeditions. Okay. He started it. He did his through hike in 2013 in 4.5 months. And that went well. And I was employed at a local hospital, liking it, but wanting to do something else, maybe go to grad school or something like that. And I figured the break would help me clear my thoughts. And I mean, for 2,200 miles, you have nothing but your thoughts. Mm-hmm. So, and what your eyes can see. And so what do I want to do moving forward? Because I like nursing, but I didn't want to stay into it. I wanted to do CRNA or FNP or something like that. So my wife took care of everything, and I went to do the AT. Flew down to Georgia and walked home.
I remember that. You put that on Facebook.
I did.
Yeah. What was it? You said something about like 5. I just landed in Georgia, one-way ticket. Now I'll be walking home.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Yep.
And it's cool that you did it, because when you got back, like just the pictures, and you can go through that entire album that you posted, just crest by crest, view by view, rainy days by rainy days, and river
tons
by
of
river.
rainy days.
It was really cool. I mean, again, props to you, man. I don't think that's something I'd ever be able to pull off. But you definitely have a lot more experience and discipline than I do, because of your military background. I'm assuming it helped you. Yeah. Your military background.
I think so. Yeah. The sort of, I guess you would say, mission orientation. So you're oriented to the mission. It's like, this is the mission. You got to do this. And also, I think the no quit attitude, like the death before dishonor sort of thing, where it's like, if I fail at this after being granted, because people do the AT without any support from Warrior Expeditions. And something I forgot to mention that's very important is along the trail, there are what Warrior Expeditions called supporters. Now, these are people who, out of the kindness of their own heart, will take you in, pick you up from the trail, take you in, feed you, and get you back to the trail. That is absolutely invaluable. So if I couldn't do that, if I couldn't do the AT with all of this support, it would be I would have a hard time looking at myself in the mirror if I quit. Like, if I quit and said, I've had enough, I'm done, I'm tapping out, I'm gone, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. However, if it was, I would say that there's three ways out of it. Death, I walk home, or you have to drag me kicking and screaming on a life flight. That's it. So, I mean, it's, death before mission failure. So, I mean, I guess that's just part of my personality and or something the Army infantry sort of lifestyle instilled in me. So it did 100%. It helped.
With physical things, I'm definitely not the same. I can't even commit to the gym like 7 days a week. I'm done.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. But I do think I don't think I understand. I think I understand the concept. I don't think I can empathize with the concept, or sympathize. I can't do either because I haven't lived that. I don't know the mindset. I haven't been through the things you've been through. But if I were to try and relate that back to my own life, every single time I do a project like the Boondock Perspective, setting up this podcast, the several film projects I've done, whenever I go into it, it's do not start this unless you intend on finishing it. And not even intend. You have to.
Yeah, it's the same mindset.
Yeah, there's been several things that I go into and I can get disappointed with, or you realize, well, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And 90%, 95% of the people that are in my industry, let alone the world, will, in my opinion, just say, wow, okay, yeah, no, this isn't going to see the light of day. This is done. And I'm on the opposite mindset of, all these people supported me. All these people helped me through it. I owe it to them to release something. I owe it to the people who have helped and supported me to make sure this sees the light of day. So at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why a lot of my projects come to fruition. So I guess I can't relate that to my personal life, but I can relate that to, my hobby is my personal life, but my hobby and my career. Mm-hmm. But aside from those two little categories, I can't relate, unfortunately.
I think we're probably more alike than different. So you really, man, if you don't have the desire to do it, that's fine. But if you didn't bother, if it's something that you would consider doing and be like, oh, that might be cool. The people that finish are somewhere between 15 and 25%. And
of from the Appalachian Trail?
Of the people who set out on a through hike. The numbers vary per year, but it's 15 to 25%. Mm-hmm. From the first day, if you lined everyone up and you tried to pick who's going to make it or not, you can't do it. Huh. Guys that we had a guy in the PCT, or excuse me, he was a PCT through hiker, Pacific Crest Trail, which is the ET on the west coast. And after Neal's Gap, which is right after Blood Mountain in Georgia, he was like, F this, I'm out. And went back to the PCT. So, I mean, if you are interested in it and you say, oh, well, I don't know, I can never do it. I think you could, if it was an interest.
Well, I definitely don't think I can do the AT.
Okay.
I did.
Be surprised, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't say. I think maybe if in 10, 15 years and circumstances were different, and I've always understood the concept of regretting doing something, regretting not doing something, like feeling like you missed out on an opportunity. I've always understood that. So there's always the chance that 10, 15 years from now, I'm going to be like, before you can't do this anymore, you should just do it. There's always the chance that I'm going to do that. But I also kind of live under that mindset right now because my father right now is planning a hike, the Camino de Santiago in Spain. I think it's France to Spain or Spain to France. I don't know geography. But that's like a 5 or 6 week hike.
Yep.
But it's also like flatter and you don't have to carry stuff on your back. I mean, you do very minimal stuff and you can stay at hostels, and every like 3 miles there's a town that you can stay in, and they do meals for you for like $9 a day. You can pretty much live. And my intention is to go with film gear and film the whole freaking thing.
That's great.
So I'm turning that into a project. And so that's why I think I'll be able to commit to that, is because that's going to become, that's how I relate to, I need to make it a project that people are going to see and support. And so I'll have more motivation to finish. So I think that in combination with the fact that it's just a challenge, I'm hoping I'll be able to finish that. But I'm even doubtful that I can do the 5 weeks. I just don't know if I've got it in me.
500 miles, I guarantee you've got it in you. I guarantee you. When you start out, you don't have your trail legs, so to speak. Like your muscles, they react pretty quickly and they'll adjust. But your joints and your ligaments and your tendons need more time. So you won't have your trail legs. So when you start out on a through hike of any sort of proportion, you start out slower. So you do, depending on the terrain, 8 to 10 miles. Well, 10 miles, 10 days of 10 miles is 100 miles. And then, as you get your trail legs, you can do 15, 20, 25. I think my biggest day was 35 miles or 32, because it all depends on the terrain. It adds up really, really quick. It flies right by. So, I mean, I guarantee you could do 500 miles, barring injury or acts of God, so to speak. You know, like you slip in just the right way that you overpronate or something, and then, you know, a ligament goes. Yeah. Acts of God.
I think that by making that 5-week period a project, like I said, I'm going to have an easier time motivating myself to do it. But also with the weight I'm going to save in my pack from having to pack all my food and you know, I might pack a couple bars, candy bars every day.
Yeah.
I'll be replacing that weight though. Most of the people that do this don't have any weight. I'm going to be replacing it with, I'm probably going to end up bringing my drone. You know, I'm going to end up bringing the lightweight camera I can, or the lightest weight camera I can, and microphone gear, and I'm going to try and interview people. And I think it's going to be a little more difficult than I'm expecting it to be, just because I'm going to be adding the weight that most people won't have.
Yes.
So, but I look forward to it. But I'm also like, I don't want to be doubtful going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice to like combat being doubtful?
Doubtful, as in just doubtful on you being able to accomplish it.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, they say on the trail, be present. So I would say just be present, just be in the moment every day, and just sort of do the thing, and don't try to think too hard about it.
While I'm there.
While you're there. As far as combating the doubt, you got to think of it like I don't know, man. I haven't thought of it.
Well, I'll do a quick sponsorship, and you can think of it while I but put in a shameless plug.
Okay.
That work for you?
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I'm going to take a second to sponsor my buddy, Brandon Berry. He was on the podcast. He was on episode 2. He's a Maine boxer, professional boxer. He's excellent. The kid's got heart, and I love watching him fight. There's something about his fighting style that the longer and longer the rounds go on, the more willpower he gets, and it's insane. And, you know, even win or lose, you can just see the motivation going through him. He recently announced a fight in early December in the Skowhegan Rec Center, I believe. You can find him on Facebook, Brandon the Cannon Berry. And if you have any interest in fighting, or in boxing, I have a link in the description that you can go learn a little bit more about him. And if you're interested, go find that Facebook, buy some tickets to that fight, and see if you can get there, because I know it's going to be a really good fight. So, combating my doubt. Get me out of my head.
You need to think of it as it's not about the finish, it's about the journey. So don't think of it as like a challenge. Just think of it as, like Bill Bryson said, just a walk in the woods. Mm-hmm. So you got to it's like putting the thing on a pedestal. It's just a trail. Like, the trail will always be there. And it's this inanimate thing. You have to have the confidence in yourself to be able to throw on a pack of whatever, and you'd be like, this is going to suck, but I'm going to do it. And I think you can do it, you know? So, it's I think possibly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're trying to make it out to be something than just putting on a pack and walking. Because that's all it is. It is more of a complex thing than that. But when you break it down to its bare bones, it's walking with a pack on. And it's rather simple. But with all the emotions that you feel, it's very complex. Mm-hmm. So, and at the end, or during, you get these cathartic sort of serendipitous occasions where deer, like what happened with me on the AT in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, a doe and a baby deer, a fawn, brand new fawn, could barely walk, came up to me. And I was like, this is some Disney shit. I'm like, this is magical. You know, like you're in the Grayson Highlands where wild ponies walk up to you and lick your legs because they like your salt. It's like, this is why I'm doing this. You're going to have those moments where you're like, I can't believe this is freaking happening right now. This is amazing. Just to be here in this moment is just the universe. It's like the universe is aligned. And it's just like you have to be here, right here, and you always had to see this. So it will suck, probably. But you just gotta it will be a challenge, but it's not a challenge that that's insurmountable. Does that make sense? I hope that helps.
Well, my nerves went down a little bit.
Good.
It could have been your soft, soothing voice, though.
Oh, thank you. It's just walking with a pack.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And just throw on a pack and walk 500 miles. It's that easy. But you experience the entire range of emotion while you're out there. The entire thing. As a matter of fact, I thought about it in some length. And it's basically like an allegory for your entire life. So, like the entire lifespan, there's this profound sadness and just pain and anguish, but then all other times it's so damn beautiful that you don't know what to do. You're just like, I just can't believe that I'm alive right now. And then at the end, you have this feeling of, this chapter is over. This was a meaningful experience. So it's sort of like you experience the entire spectrum of human emotion. And then at the end, you have this feeling of you did something that was meaningful and cathartic. So I imagine that's what someone would feel like when they are at the end of their life and they reflect on how their life is. And then how it's went, what do they regret, whatever. And at the end, hopefully you experience, you're like, this was a good life. It's over now, but it was meaningful and it was well worth it. And that's, to me, that's what the trail is.
Gotta put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
The Appalachian Trail, the entire spectrum of human emotion.
The entire, yeah. Most of it, though, is pain and suffering. Well,
so is life. Am I
right?
Yeah.
The basic Buddhist Judeo-Christian hierarchy is life is suffering, and then you have to try to transcend it with something, find some sort of meaning. And you can do that in the AT if you stick with it and finish it. You can do that. You can do it on any long distance hike. I would encourage anyone to go out and do a long distance hike, or if you just want to do 100 miles, then you'd be a lasher, a long ass section hiker. And if you do, it depends on who you ask. If you do 500 to 1,000 miles, you'd be a slasher, super long ass section hiker. Just get out and do something.
What kind of person would you recommend the AT to? Like who would benefit the absolute most from going on the AT? You know what I'm asking?
I know exactly what you're asking. I'm just trying to articulate it in a way that I think will get my point across. First of all, I would not recommend it to someone who is in acute recovery. So if because there are folks that are either opioid addicts or alcohol or whatever sort of drug, I would not recommend, if you're acute recovery within the first 6 months, I would not recommend you do the AT. There is a party culture there, which is mostly marijuana and alcohol. So if you're going to escape something, like especially a substance, I wouldn't go on the AT, just because I struggle with alcohol, or I used to. I'm about 4 years sober now, a little under. And if I was in acute recovery, I I can't say conclusively whether or not I would pick up a drink if it was offered to me. So I would not recommend acute recovery folks to get your stabilization on, and then you can go on the trail. But be sure that you wouldn't pick up on the trail. I would recommend it to anyone who has any sort of hiking experience, who has this has basic survival and first aid training or experience, is okay with monotonous, dull pain. There's not a whole lot of time when you're not in pain and physical pain. Blisters. I had acute tibialis anterior tendonitis that was going on my left shin to my right shin, and the first 300 miles were just awful for me. Lots of blisters, scrapes and stuff, and cuts and all this. So you are going to be in pain on the AT a lot. So something is always going to hurt. If you can deal with that and sort of keep going. So perseverance, huge. The no quit attitude is going to help. I'll die, I set out to do this thing, I'll die before I quit. That's good. That's a good thing to have. Like, this is the mission. We got to do this thing. And I would say if you are moderately fit.
Okay.
So if your cardio is good, when you start the AT, no one is in good hiking shape because there's nothing that can prepare you for it. So if you think that you're just going to go to the AT and crush it, those guys fall out so quick because they'll end up getting an overuse injury. You got to slow yourself down and then pick up some longer miles down the road. So something like I'm going to get the numbers wrong, 4,000 people registered. Is that right? I don't know. To do the AT, it's something like that. Like, easy to verify. I just don't want to lie. But it's 3,000-4,000 people, and it's expected that there's going to be like 400-500 people that are doing it this year. There was a lot of rain this year, just weeks of rain. And in Virginia too, when you have the Virginia Blues. Virginia Blues is okay. So the Virginia is about a quarter of the AT. It's 500 and something miles. So you hit Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. You feel like you're progressing because you're going, I'm in another state now. But Virginia is a quarter of the trail. So
really,
it is. Yep, it's about a quarter of the trail.
Wow.
So it's long, and it doesn't, because you're not making states. It feels like, still, when am I going to get out of Virginia? And it's called the Virginia Blues. So you hit to Virginia, and it feels like you're at a standstill, and people quit. That's Virginia Blues. And I forget where I was going with that, man.
The rain.
Oh, yes, the rain hit. About a week of rain hit when we were in Troutville, Virginia. And then we had a day or two break, and then we had a week of rain. And people were like, I'm sick of being wet. I'm getting trench foot. I'm done. So it's like the weather was friggin' miserable. In Georgia, it was like alpine mountain hiking. It was on the first day of spring, April 21st. We were going up, I don't even want to remember where it was, but I was going up some damn mountain, and it was like in 3 or 4 inches of snow, and it was 15 degrees, and this was in Georgia. And I went to a shelter, and I was wearing my puffy down jacket, and on top of that, my raincoat, because that was the only thing that could keep me warm. And I got into the shelter, and it was absolutely soaked. So I was in that, drying it out.
And down doesn't do well wet at all.
No, that was something that I learned, and I learned it. But luckily, I kept it on against my skin, At least I knew that, to sleep in, and it dried. Excuse me. Thank God. So, I mean, the weather was atrocious. It was bad AT weather. Let's see. One of the board of directors or chair of Warrior Expeditions, we met her. Her name was Angie. We met her in Virginia at around Daleville, and she said, "I'm so sorry for you guys. This is the worst AT weather I've seen since we started Warrior Expeditions in 2013." And I was like, "Yeah, I believe it." I was like, "This is awful. I hate it." Yeah, it's true. Because you're wet, and you just stay wet.
Yeah.
And you just stay wet until, if there's no sun, you cannot dry out any of your stuff. So your feet get wet, they stay wet, period, for days. You just, and then you have all the cheese and stuff, the sweat. Yeah. 3 days of no showering after 5,000 calories a day you're burning on the AT. You smell, you can't imagine.
I can't imagine because not on myself, but Jackman, where I'm originally from, it's like 30 miles away from the AT.
That's right.
So whenever I'd go to Skowhegan, or I'd go as downriver, as they say, which was probably once a week, once every 2 weeks, there would always be AT hikers trying to find a ride to the hostel or to the nearest store to get a new pair of boots, and I've picked up a lot of them. I only pick up hitchhikers if I kind of like know why they're there. And that's one of the places where I pick them up. So a lot of times they get in the car and I'm like, oh yeah, this guy hasn't showered in 2 months. That's cool. And then your stuff smells for 2 months and I wasn't even hiking.
Can I do a quick plug?
Absolutely.
So Bishop's store in Jackman.
Sponsorship number 2.
This guy's, I forget his trail name. Damn it. That's going to kill me.
10 Hut.
That's his trail name?
Yeah, because he's like a military officer. He's like the nicest, calmest dude ever. And then you get on the trail and you start doing anything, and he's very like, 10 Hut, let's go. We got to get out of here.
Your dad?
We got to be here at 600 hours, and we got to...
Your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad's trail name, 10 Hut. Just because he turns into like a different guy when he's hiking.
I guess. Does that mission... we got to do this thing, right? So this guy, when we crossed the Kennebec, Ray Levesque, he met me right there, and then at that road, and picked me up, took me 30 miles north of Jackman, got me clean and showered and everything, went in Pumpkin, Lorraine, which is his mother's, got me some black raspberry ice cream, took me up to camp, gave me some Bishop's pizza and sub and everything, which is, if you've never had Bishop's pizza... It's the best.
They made best pizza in Maine. Or best pizzas in Maine. It was like top 10 somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember where it was, but yep.
It's the best. Pizza? Yeah. So, and they did that out of the kindness of their own hearts, just because we're good friends with Ethan. And huge plug to Bishops and huge plug to... Because that was amazing. That was the best trail magic ever.
I heard that one of my mom painted you a rock.
Yes.
You want to tell that? Because I don't even know that whole story. I just think it's hilarious.
Sure. So I don't even think 10 Hut is actually doing a section hike of the AT. So he's doing about 100 miles at a time, and I think they stopped this year at Irwin, Tennessee. So either Pumpkin or someone they know were painting rocks for people. And mine was a little rock, thin rock that said Trail Magic on it. And they left it at Uncle Johnny's in Irwin, Tennessee. And I picked it up, and I carried it from Irwin, Tennessee to that point where it crosses the Kennebec. And I gave it back to him, saying, I hiked this back to you. And I gave it to 10 Hut. And he's like, that's friggin' awesome. And then Pumpkin said, you gotta take it all the way. And I was like, I was so happy to get rid of this damn rock in my pack. And they were like, no, dude, you keep on going with that thing and send me a picture when it's on Katahdin. By the way, when so I did that. I finished and I put it and I sent them the picture. And then
I saw the picture.
And then a month later, when the rest of the Warrior Expedition AT guys showed up, I I went and re-summited with them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
That gigantic cairn was all the stuff, all the personal stuff and rocks and stuff were gone. All of it. There was
really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. So it was there. I took a picture of it. There were different rocks up there. There was a wedding band there with a note and everything, and it was a lot of stuff that people will leave up there. And my guess is that the trail rangers or park rangers probably took everything down because it's supposed to be a leave no trace, undisturbed wild thing. So that would be my guess, because it was completely bare 1 month later.
That kind of sucks.
That does suck. I hiked that thing all the way back from Tennessee to Maine.
Huh.
Who knows where it is?
Well, that's a bummer.
It's a total bummer.
Sorry, Pumpkin and Ten. I just thought that was so funny because you were wearing a pack that was how heavy?
Depends. I usually would pack for a full 5-day resupply, which will get me usually 100 miles. So with a full pack, my first day out on the trail from a resupply, it would weigh about 35 pounds.
And then they gave you a 2-pound rock?
Oh, it wasn't. It was a small rock. I was inflating the size to make myself seem like a badass. It was small. It was like a skipping rock. So it didn't have much weight.
Okay. I just think it's funny that they added weight to your already heavy pack, and they made you carry it the 22,000 miles. I just think that was the funniest thing. She didn't expect you to bring it all the way. Like, she just didn't she say, like, drop it off wherever you want?
Yeah.
And you brought it all the way back to her? You should have just skipped it in Parlin at the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I finish my drink, I think this conversation is coming to a close. Do you have any closing?
Bummer, man.
Do you have any closing
remarks? Dude, I'm having such a good time. Is this good. 40 minutes?
Yeah. Roughly.
Bummer, dude. We didn't even get into all the nudity.
You got closing statement. Talk about nudity.
We didn't get into my trail name at all.
Talk about
how
nudity.
I got my trail name. I can't open that up. That's a can of worms. I can't open that up. Yeah, I can't open it up.
Well, we can extend this.
I can't do it.
We can extend this a good 20 minutes.
Okay, my trail name is Ed Kemper, Shelter Shaker, Esquire. So
okay.
Yeah. So we'll do the trail name story and then we'll cut it because I don't want to. But there's so much more to talk about the AT.
Yeah. So like I told you, this is somehow this is supposed to be like a 4-hour conversation put into 40 minutes. There's a lot of things that you could be talking about. And maybe it warrants a second podcast, a second showing. There's a lot of people out there who watch a lot of podcasts specific to hiking. So if you ever want to come back on, you have more to talk about. Like, make a list of all the things you want to talk about and come back on.
Cool.
I will ignore that though. That volume's not supposed to be on. I thought I fixed that twice now.
That's right.
So nudity.
That's how I got my second trail name that was in my trail name, Ed Kemper, Shelter Shaker, Esquire. So Shelter Shaker, I was in a group of 10 dudes with Warrior Expeditions, and I was faster from the get-go than all of them. And I got to the shelter that we were supposed to be at early, so I decided to strip down, and there was no one at the shelter. I set out all my sleeping gear, had a snack and everything. Everything was done as far as camping goes. And then I was like, you know what would be really funny? So I just got butt-ass naked and took a selfie and put that up on our Google Drive. Because we're supposed to be taking pictures of us.
You and your wife's Google Drive?
No, Warrior Expeditions.
Oh.
So
that's funnier.
Yeah. So it's like, you know what'd be really funny? Put that up on our Google Drive. We're supposed to be like taking pictures of the views and us and the views and of each other. And it's like, and then my bare ass right there in the shelter. So we did that.
You should have just pressed it up against everything in there so when people saw it later, they'd be like, I touched that, I touched that, I touched that.
If only I had this guidance back then. And then Mama Goose, who was a Warrior Warrior Hike alumnus said, Shelter Shaker. And I was like, that's how Shelter Shaker was born. And then Ed Kemper was because of my really morbid personality. I think I made a joke about killing civilians or something like that, and which is something that I don't recommend, and I don't do.
Zero condone.
Yeah.
Zero out of zero would do it.
Yeah. 100% condemnation on killing civilians. So
I'm on a list now. When this podcast airs, I'm on a list.
Shit. So then, apparently I act like, in the way that I talk and the words that I use, I'm a whole lot like Ed Kemper, who, if you know Ed Kemper, in the 60s, he was the co-ed killer. A smart guy that was really tortured. I'm not saying I'm smart, because I'm not. Who killed girls. So, and I don't kill girls, and I condemn people who kill girls. So I got, because Mindhunter just came out. Have you seen Mindhunter?
No.
Oh, dude, Netflix Mindhunter. So good. But I am not Ed Kemper. But that's how I made the joke, and then they said, Ed Kemper. And I'm like, I'm not 350 pounds, guys. And I'm not 6'8". And they're like, yeah, but you're Ed Kemper, man. Like, okay, Sean, for you, I'll be Ed Kemper. So, and then Esquire was just a title that I thought was like, okay, Ed Kemper, the serial killer, meets Shelter Shaker, and he's a lawyer.
So you just, like, the longest trail name ever?
Yeah.
Is that just what you're going for?
That's the longest trail name ever.
So that's the trail name.
That's trail name.
That's the longest trail name.
Probably ever.
We'll have to look it up. There's probably a database of trail names in some respect.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, we could probably find something. Whew, anyway, and so now I'll let you wrap up the conversation. Do you have anything specific you want to say, like a 30 seconds of closing remarks?
Okay. The AT to me was the best, the worst, the most frustrating, the most painful, the most boring, and at the same time, the most enlightening, meaningful, peaceful experience ever. I am more tolerant of bullshit now. I am more peaceful now. I be present, which is hippie talk, and no, I don't meditate, but be present. Oh, but I just be in the moment. It's hippie talk, but it's for real. It's a real thing. Just let the feelings and things happen. And if you go through life like on a mission, you're going to miss all the beauty that's around you. So that's my
avoid tunnel vision.
Yes.
Cool.
That's the takeaway there.
Cool. Well, in order for us to establish whether or not one stiff drink made me better at angle of trajectory, we need to do our second test. We have the control study out of the way, right?
$10 says you get it in the cup.
I'm a gambler, but I don't. So does that mean $10 if I miss the cup?
That means $10 if you hit the cup. But that's stupid. Why would I do that? Because then you're just gonna miss the cup. No gambling. Go.
Yeah, I owe you $10 for a 98% chance I'm gonna lose. Those aren't good odds. Jesus, I got pretty good last time. I was about the shadow away. Shit, I don't want to do this. Oh, I think it went like right over the lid here.
That was
so it landed further away, but I almost got I almost hit this.
It went right over it, man.
So what do you say?
It went right over it, man. But it was like it landed farther away than the 4 inches. So it was like 5 inches away, but it went right over that cup like this, dude. Like I'm surprised it didn't hit the handle.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that close, but you had a better angle than I did. Well, dang. So apparently alcohol makes you better at angle of trajectory.
I would agree.
All right, and that concludes the game. Thank you for being here, Tony. This was an awesome conversation.
I had a blast.
I look forward to having you again. I kind of expect you to be a series regular.
Oh, cool.
So this is the second time you've been on the podcast, right?
Yeah. No, I'd love it. It's great.
Awesome. Well,
I think the world of you and your work.
My work is fun.
Loon Echo and Indemnity.
Cool. Those are the sponsors for next week's episodes and the week after that episode. So, got a third plug in there.
There you go.
They are fun. They were just really fun projects. Like, they weren't designed to be like. I'm too young in my career to be going for money grabs. You know what I mean? They were just there for fun. But I'm always happy to hear that people liked them. So, because not a lot of people have seen it. So yeah, go check that out if you get the chance. All right. Anyway,
worth seeing.
I want to congratulate you again. Like,
Thank you.
I'm probably gonna congratulate you every single time I see you, because that's still, it's just insane to me. It's a crazy challenge.
I'm kind of like when I first came home and I would have to, like, hey, you want to go on a walk with the dogs or something? And I would be like, I just walked 2,200 miles. And that worked for about a week. Like, honey, can you do the dishes? I just hiked 2,200 miles. Damn it. That worked for a week. And then it was like, do the damn dishes.
All right. Well, until next week. Deuces.